Star Trek reveals bittersweet ending for Kelvin Timeline's Captain Kirk. In a stunning twist that fans never saw coming, Star Trek has quietly unveiled a bittersweet fate for the Kelvin Timeline's Captain James T. Kirk, a version of the legendary Starfleet officer that embodied both bold innovation and deep emotional vulnerability. The reveal, tucked within a recent comic miniseries and hinted at encrypted canon tie-ins, offers closure to a storyline long considered stranded in limbo. And while it may not involve a climactic sacrifice on the bridge of the Enterprise, Kirk's ending is deeply human, quietly heroic, and ultimately Star Trek at its most poignant. For those needing a refresher, the Kelvin timeline, introduced in J.J. Abrams' 2009 Star Trek reboot, diverged from the original series when a Romulan ship from the future, captained by Nero, destroyed the USS Kelvin, killing George Kirk and sending shockwaves through the timeline. The younger James Kirk, portrayed by Chris Pine, took a rougher, brasher path to the captain's chair, but retained the charisma, curiosity, and courage that defined William Shatner's iconic original. Over 3 films, Star Trek 2009, Into Darkness 2013, and Beyond 2016, Pine's Kirk grew from reckless cadet to seasoned leader. Yet, despite fan enthusiasm and box office success, the cinematic Kelvin timeline stalled. Delays, contract disputes, and shifting studio priorities left Kirk's future unwritten until now. In IDW Publishing's recent Star Trek Echoes miniseries and the broader expanded comic universe that bridges the Kelvin and Prime timelines, the narrative quietly stitches together a final chapter for this version of Kirk. Rather than going out in a blaze of glory, this Kirk faces a different kind of challenge, learning when to step aside, when to trust the next generation, and when to choose peace over war. In the final issue of Echoes, an older James Kirk reflects on the burden of command. After a deadly crisis involving a dimension-spanning war, Kirk makes a controversial decision. He steps down as captain of the Enterprise, not because he's forced to, but because he finally understands that the mission of Starfleet isn't just about exploration, it's about legacy. He entrusts the ship to a new captain, a young officer who once reminded him too much of himself, but who now inspires him to believe in a future he may not live to see. It's a powerful moment, not with explosions or phaser fights, but with quiet acceptance. And in true Star Trek fashion, it hits deeper than most farewells. What makes this ending particularly resonant is how it mirrors what could have been had the 4th Kelvin film ever been realized. Rumors swirled for years that Star Trek IV would bring back Chris Hemsworth's George Kirk by time travel, allowing son and father to meet. But buried in those scripts were themes of legacy, loss, and sacrifice, themes that the comics now explore with surprising grace. This Kirk doesn't get the blockbuster ending, but he gets something perhaps more meaningful: closure. Starfleet honors him not with medals, but with a quiet transfer ceremony. Spock, still at his side after all these years, gives him a parting Vulcan salute. Uhura sings at his farewell, a callback to her lesser-known musical talents. And Bones, though older and grumpier, tells him, "You're not going out because you're tired, Jim. You're going out because you're finally whole." And yet, it's not entirely a happy ending. There's a sense of melancholy that permeates the final pages. This Kirk has seen so many die: his father, his mentor Pike, even alternate versions of himself. He's carried the weight of being the man who wasn't supposed to exist, the captain born of a divergent timeline. The comic makes it clear: the Kelvin Kirk has always known his existence was an accident of cosmic disruption. And perhaps that's why he fought so hard to prove he belonged. In the final panel, we see him standing alone, not on a bridge or battlefield, but in a quiet cabin on a Federation outpost near the neutral zone. The starship passes overhead, trailing light like a comet. He smiles, not because he's escaping responsibility, but because he's finally at peace. He mutters, almost to himself, "Second star to the right," and straight on till morning. It's the same line Prime Kirk used in Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, a poetic nod to his original counterpart, and a subtle promise that even in endings, there are beginnings. This ending for the Kelvin Kirk is as Star Trek as it gets. It's not about conquering, fighting, or rewriting history. It's about growth, humanity, and the long arc of hope. It's about a man forged in chaos,